Live.
And we are live
You're
here
live.
with Sam Johnson.
What is the so speak, and we're gonna see if it goes back to you.
I speak to you because I can. And here I am.
What didn't auto switch? It auto switches back to me.
Guess I'm just not good enough.
No, I don't think your the mic is. I'm not talking to it like that. Try that now.
Come back to me.
And I mean, might need to turn up the volume. Check mic.
Checkity check. Checkity cash and a Chinese chicken.
Just do it a little bit more.
Doing it a little bit more. Here I am,
Yes,
just doing it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not switching to you automatically, but it'll switch.
It's because you need a camera crew. That's what you need.
Yeah, and it's so lagged. Lag. Check mic. Okay. Anyway, I guess I'll just manually switch them. Try it again. Say something.
Okay. Here I am.
Speak like really.
You better turn to me right now, you camera. Switch to me.
It did it.
Look at me. Okay. Maybe I'll just speak louder.
Yes.
Because there's a bed. This isn't spiking it, right?
No.
No, bruh.
You can even see it. Well.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll be self-conscious.
Good. I'm gonna just. The beauty about this one is that I'm going to be editing it after. Okay. Now it's on me. Why is yours so much louder than mine? Say something again.
Because my voice carries through the universe.
Okay. That's why. Check mic. Check it again.
Sounds good to me.
Hey, there's actually somebody watching. It might be me. But
just watching ourselves, that's how we get the views up.
Yeah.
We can purchase like 3,000 computers and have them all going at the same time.
Yeah, like we have 3,000 steady viewers.
So you all should follow.
Check it out. Okay.
I'm not saying we, it's not my show, but I feel like I'm a part of it.
I'm so happy that like it's doing it on its own. Like I don't have to click it.
It's great when technology works. It's when it doesn't, I turn into cranky grandpa. I just want to destroy it all.
So this is interesting. So the last two podcasts that I've done is for some reason mine's louder than yours, so I got to push it away a little bit. But for the last two podcasts that I've done, I've had to switch automatically. Like I'm talking now, and like consciously push a button so that the camera's on me.
Oh, that would be so distracting for you. I'm sorry.
And then whenever they're talking, then I would have to consciously push a button for them to be on camera.
Ugh, gross. Well, I can see why you like it then.
So big shout out to Roland for sending me this awesome piece of equipment.
You're
full price.
You're the guys, Roland.
For full price.
That's
I did
right.
get that for free.
Full price.
But
contribute to the economy. Good job.
So what were we chatting about?
I don't know.
Oh, authenticity. So everybody is saying like, you know, people like what should the internet be? Is like people are looking for authenticity, things that are authentic, right? Like, how do you get people to like your posts? Like, how do you get people to see your content?
Yeah.
Be authentic. I think the word of this like year, like 2 years ago, it was ignorant.
Ignorant. Be ignorant.
Yeah. This year, it's just authenticity.
Authentic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because people, they just hate people that are fake, which is really oversimplifying it. But I think that's what it is because since so many people are getting big and getting blown up online, everyone's like, oh, these people are in it for the money. Sure, the cash grab. I just want something real. You know, I want that authenticity. I want to feel like I'm really just engaging with this, you know, social person, this deliverer.
So do you think that people are looking for not fake people, or are they looking for authenticity?
I think that, but it's interesting because you want something that's real. You know, authentic to me is like the absence of, you know, being fake. The problem is in a person's desire to be authentic, But that really, to me, to be authentic means you're just being yourself, being natural, right? But at the same time, you also want to make sure that you are what viewers want you to be. And so you're constantly like, okay, gotta be myself, but I need to be the myself
Self that
that
other
people want to
people,
see.
yeah.
I want to be authentic for them. So it's kind of a weird dichotomy that's kind of
It's
going
kind of
against
like what we were
itself.
talking about with like journalism and like how they want to report the news
hmm
and they want to report what is not necessarily authentic, but what is true.
hmm
And yet they have people who fund their programs,
hmm
and you got to make them happy too.
Yeah.
So
I remember that reminds me of a show on Amazon called, I think it's called Newsroom, something like that. The main person is Jeff Daniels, who was also in Dumb and Dumber.
yes,
And also George Washington one time,
yes,
which is kind of strange. But the whole premise of the show is we're just going to deliver real news. It's going to be real,
yeah.
you know? And like, that's cool. But then after watching the show, I'm like, that would never happen. Like, that could never, no one's going to fund that, you know? No one's going to try and do that.
But that's where I think things are going, though, is that, like I said, if you're able to blow up on TikTok and Vine overnight, then same goes for news.
Yeah, it's the funding. Yeah, you were right. What you were saying before, it's like you don't need. That's what it is. 'Cause people, the reason you have to deliver what I guess the people funding you want you to deliver, but because of the access people have, you know, to
Like, it doesn't cost that much money to make like a program.
yeah,
So like I'm going to show my cards because I showed my cards last time I was podcasting. But I'm trying to be authentic here. Is I watch the Daily Wire. And so the Daily Wire, a lot of their funding comes from advertisement. Before it wasn't like that to some degree. Like with like larger media channels, is that a lot of their funding comes from, especially because like cable news is dying. In fact, I think that cable news is going to be dying very soon.
Yeah.
Because a lot of their funding used to come from advertising. And so it was less bias, right? So you had a lot of the income, a lot of their money came from unbiased advertising. Johnson and Johnson, the Koch brothers. I'm just kidding, right? But seriously, even though the Koch brothers are somewhat biased towards whatever.
Sure.
But what I'm saying though is that the company, the corporation of itself, to advertise on that channel, and then it's going through, that money's going through too many hands to like have like a grip on what is to be said on the news, you know?
Yeah.
But now that advertising is dying because people can fast forward through that stuff, right? So advertising space is cheaper than ever. People don't watch the advertisements. They'll just change the news channel because there's so many other options, plus YouTube, and you can just see clips. So what's happening is that they're having to find funding from other people.
Yeah.
And so then that's whenever it gets sticky, is that those corporations that used to be advertising on their channel now are somewhat manipulating the politics of America, right? By slipping, 50, maybe 10, $15 million on their table and saying
X million. Well, it's a classic.
it's not slipping though,
right?
But it's
like
lobbying.
That's really what lobbying is. It's people, they know that the law, I guess, and the government affects how their business is run, and kind of like people's perception of their businesses. And so to influence that, they just pass some money. And it's not really a secret in a lot of cases. Like there's some secret lobbying, sure, but a lot of it's pretty open. It's like, yeah, big corporations will give legislators tons of money for their campaign.
Yeah.
In exchange for like, you have to promise that you'll push for this legislation, which is going to help us out tremendously. I don't know much about that.
But it's not even promising. It's just unheard, like we're not going to speak of it, but like you know what you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like
because
wink, wink. You know what I mean?
You know that you're not going to get this money next year if you don't do that thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So do that. So what I'm seeing though is that with the media is that they're losing money through just unbiased advertising, and now having to have these independents step up.
Yeah.
Like George Soros. Like George Soros. He's just giving all the money to the. That's my Alex Jones impression.
Spot on.
But this leads us into, well, what they don't know is that you can do it with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
To set up this whole entire setup, like it cost me $4,000 to $5,000 maybe.
Yeah,
And a lot of the equipment I already had.
donation from like 1 or 2 companies. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah. And by 1 or 2 companies, I mean I've worked for 2 companies in the past 2 years.
Donations to your paycheck.
Yeah, exactly.
Very generous of them to do that. Pay you
Very
for your work.
generous. Thank you. Yeah. We'll put the sponsors in the description below. Not really. Lawn care and lights hanging. But I think that things are changing in that way. And I also had this idea that if we just put the mics over our mouth, like you see the camera, right?
Oh, I see the camera.
If we just cover our mouths like that and they can't see the mouth moving, then the whole entire the syncing of the lips, it won't matter if they can't see the lips.
Oh my gosh, that's genius.
Right.
No one's gonna know.
Exactly.
Or if I just talk like this without moving my lips very much, then people also wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It's technology come together with practicality.
Exactly.
Geniuses.
So, but I see a really like big shift in news, and I think people are already seeing it. In fact, a majority of news, Gen Z, they did a study on this. Gen Z gets a majority of their news from social media. Yeah, which makes sense. Baby boomers were like, but they didn't have social media, right? So like, it's completely shifted. Lost it a little bit. It's okay. They can still hear us if we can't hear us. I've got a cheap.
Well, I care more about me hearing myself because I like hearing my own voice.
Good.
I don't care if anyone else hears me. So
I think there was some truth in that.
You fixed it.
I felt it through your eyes. Like, I like it when I hear myself.
I do too. I'm not gonna lie. Mary makes fun of it. Mary's my wife. Mary makes fun of it all the time. Yeah. I'll be like, oh man, like I have to like speak at this thing at church, or I have to like talk to this thing in class. She's like, yeah, right. You love it. I'm like, okay.
Just a little.
You're right. I do love it.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of my weaknesses, but
because we are a generation raised by our
mothers.
Yes.
That's right.
Is that true? Do you see where I like?
I think I understand.
Your mother was a big part of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I guess when you think of like hands-on raising, the day-to-day, definitely.
Did you have a stay-at-home mother?
Yes.
Okay, I did too.
Yeah. So definitely my mom had a huge influence on me, but I also remember my dad being very, very involved, despite the fact that he only had like maybe 3 hours out of the day to be with me between coming home and bedtime, right? And I think he did that because his rule was like, go full speed at work, and then when you come home, work disappears, which wouldn't always happen that way, right? Sometimes, if my dad's an attorney, so he would be prepping for a trial or something, that would kind of fall in, but he would always take the time to just like make sure that he has compartmentalized that part of his life. And I've tried to do the same thing. It's not easy. Like for me, my rule is I get up stupid earlier than I want, but I do that so that way I can get to school and do all the things I need to do, so that when I'm home by 6, no school, nothing, right? And then there's times like right now, for example, it has to blend over because I have to write a paper and finals coming up. But for the most part, I think that is what enabled my dad to be involved in being raised. So to me, he was more than just a breadwinner. I formed a connection with my dad because like when I think of like my core principles that make me who I am, I can contribute a lot to my mom. Like my mom taught me, one of the biggest things she taught me was you can't control what happens to you, right? You can just control how you react, which is nothing new, but just that's what my mom made sure that I understood that. Yeah. My dad made me understand that just because something is hard doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do, right? Like, oh, like school is hard or work is hard. Maybe that means I shouldn't be doing this because it's not super exciting. And he taught me that you kind of
life should be easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you have to push through the grind and monotony a little bit to end up getting to the thing that really makes you happy, because the best things in life take the most work, right? Yeah. That's straight from my dad. Not to say my mom didn't participate in teaching that, but that's a dad concept. That all being said, though, yes, for the most part, I feel like we are generations raised by mothers, although now more and more mothers, I think, are entering the workplace, which I don't know how that affects it. But like we come from the time of stay-at-home moms.
Yeah. And I see like I wish I had some statistics to like put out in front of me.
Edit it in.
Other than like I think it's kind of
according
like
to
this,
study.
yeah, according to the studies. But when you look at it, like it's like a hierarchy. In any hierarchy, you have you've heard the poor is getting poorer and the richer are getting richer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what you have is, and then you have the middle class that is like forming, right?
Yeah.
Well, as the poor gets poorer, rich get richer, but the population is growing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really going like this? Are we going back to the medieval ages where there's only two
classes,
two
like
classes? Yeah. Or is it just that we're only seeing the poor getting poorer and the richer getting richer, but really the middle class is just growing within in that. So it's this idea that of the two extremes.
Mm-hmm.
I've wrestled, but I'm applying this now to those who grew up with single motherhood and those who grew up with a stay-at-home mother.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be this right here, the single motherhood, and the stay-at-home mother, and then in the middle you have the working mother, right? So I'm looking at like in the 90s, what was that like? And I would say that I think that those two things are growing. I think that I don't know what I'm trying to say. Do you get what I'm saying? Is that like, what is, and I know we're not going down to like the correlation cause. What is it? Correlation.
Yeah, cause and effect, correlation.
No, but causation does not equal correlation.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm simply stating is that like I would be interested to see the statistics on single motherhood as well as stay-at-home mothers.
Statistics as like how many there are, or like its effect on.
No, just you'll be able to see the effect through. Well, I guess
I do know that it's pretty common knowledge that single mothers equals lower income.
Perfect.
Right? That's just a fact. Like generally, a single mom who has to also raise her kids, even though she's working like crazy, has less earning potential. And that's because she's generally, when someone's a single mother, usually it's before they have a chance to finish school. It's before they have a chance to gain certain skills that allow them to get higher paying jobs. And so what they end up having to do is work 2 or 3 lower paying jobs to make as much as one just good solid job.
Yeah.
And it's because they're single mother. They've usually the victims of hardship and abandon and things like that. And generally working moms, I think.
Well, and an asshole father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, like
that's usually part of the equation. Yeah. And I feel like, and I could be wrong about this, but I feel like generally when you think of a working mom who's married, those are the parents that are kind of in the upper class because they can afford, a nanny, and they can afford, you have 2 incomes now, right? And then I think this middle section is the stay-at-home mom, right? Who the mom stays at home because she can. Because would the family make more money if mom went to go work too? Yeah, of course, right? But the mom chooses to stay home while the dad, or the spouse brings home the money, right? They're the provider.
Sure.
And so because of their earning potential, in a way, it's technically capped because now all your income is deriving from one source, but it's by choice, right? The mom wants to stay home. And that's kind of the way, for example, Mary and I, we have a family around here, like my parents live here. So pretty easily, if Mary wanted to, down the road, she could, Silas could stay at grandpa and grandma's while she goes to work, right? And we would have another set of income. But we've decided not to do that. We decided even if it does lower our earning potential, that she's just going to stay at home. That's what she wants to do. And that's not to say that that's the best thing to do.
Is it because it's easier? Just kidding. I'm applying the
oh my gosh,
father logic.
Yeah. If you tell a stay-at-home mom, you're at home because it's easier, huh? Because working's hard and being mom at home, she would kill you.
Did
because
you hear how evil that laugh?
Easy.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, like stay at home. Like but maybe not. Maybe I don't know. I can't
What do you
say
think?
that a stay-at-home mother is better than well, okay, we're getting into slippery territory here. Let's talk about fatherhood.
Okay. Just as on the record, stay-at-home moms. I'm
Great.
not saying better or worse than mothers who choose to work. It's
Yes.
totally a personal decision. But as far as this correlation to, classes, I think there is some connection. That being said, fathers, tell me about that.
Fathers. Oh, man. I don't see that I don't know too many fathers. Actually, I do. I know my boss is a father.
You have one.
I have a father.
Yeah.
I know that
I'm one.
you're
Look
one.
at that. You got
And
3.
now that I think about it, every single guy I know, like, who I am in close quarters contact with for, like, the past, like, year and a half,
Mm.
they're fathers.
Mm.
Like, I don't think I like, have surrounded myself with, um, a little bit. I was part of a small group of dudes that none of them were fathers, but they had fathers. But what about fathers? I don't know. I think that fathers are a big role.
Mhm.
Like there needs to be a father. I think this is where we're getting into more sticky territory. But I don't really give a damn. Is that we're getting away from this idea that there needs to be a father and a mother,
Mhm.
and um, if you want to put your future law career, you can join conversation at any point. But it's changing in today in America specifically.
Mhm.
Is that you don't need to have a father and a mother. You can have a mother and a mother. You can
Mhm.
have a father and a father. You could have 3 fathers and a mother.
Yeah.
Like you could have, and it's just it's becoming the norm to experience divorce.
Mhm.
It's becoming the norm to be more reliant upon one parent. So we said the
Mhm.
generation raised by their mother
Yeah.
is that I think it's becoming the norm to rely on one specific parent. And I think that's partly because, well, religion is dying. That could be one factor.
Mhm.
This
And you're
idea
saying
that
that religion and I guess like non-divorce kind of went hand in hand.
what I'm saying is that there was at one point when the mother and the father were one.
Mhm.
And like you believed that, and that was that. Now it's like they're two separate entities.
Yeah.
They're the people they're more of your guardians. They raise you till you're 18 and then good luck.
Mhm. That's more just like kind of a checklist like okay, to have a successful life, got to have a spouse, got to have that kid. Kid goes off,
Yeah, but
check.
I think that like there's a balance in between the two with balance of anything.
Mhm.
And of course, I don't have a child. So clearly I can't talk on this subject at all because I don't have a spouse either and blah 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 blah. Do you agree with that by the way? Can people speak on specific topics if they have not experienced them themselves?
Absolutely, they can. Depends how
Yeah.
you talk about it.
Yeah.
You can't tell them that you have firsthand experience if you don't. But I think there's a lot of things you can glean from observation, right? Like you can tell, like kind of what you were saying. You have recognized that there's kind of this divide happening with spouses. Divorce is extremely common,
Higher than
right?
60% now, I think.
I'm not sure, but that I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's 50 or more.
Yeah, because that was 50% whenever we were in high school
Yeah, and it's
10 years
because
ago.
it's so easy to do. But well, that's actually part of it. Because some people say it happens so much because it's so easy, right?
Yeah.
Because you just have to find an attorney, fill it out, bada boom. Getting a divorce actually is not that easy, and actually it turns out it really, like, affects both parties financially, which means there's a lot more behind it that actually motivates it. And I think a part of it is and I know this is controversial, but I feel very strongly about the fact that
Say the truth.
here comes the truth. Buckle up. Now, like with, for example, and this is my personal opinion on it, but like living 2 separate lives, right? I think that there's a reason why the reason why divorce happens so much now is because 1, the expectations at the start of marriage, and number 2 is the lack of unity that you're describing. It's kind of first with the expectations, like right now, the idea is, oh, I love you, I'm going to marry you. I'm going to stay married to you as long as my needs are met, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as, and no one thinks it's going to be that hard. And everyone says, like, even if it gets hard, I'm going to stick it out, right?
Yeah.
But then when things actually start getting hard, it is really, really hard to maintain that perspective, because you're like, like, well, this isn't fair. Like, I should be treated with mutual respect, right?
Yeah.
Like, things are not nearly as good as they were when we were first married. Like, this takes way more work than I thought. And from the beginning, people know in the back of their minds, I can just get divorced. That's what's taught, right?
Yeah.
The idea is, I hear this very often, a lot of these podcasts I'm listening to, when they talk about happiness, and talk about just a variety of subjects. But when it comes to like relationships, the belief is, if you want to pack your bags and go, you can, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's an option. And what's funny,
It's socially acceptable.
yeah, like, that's okay. And I'm not trying to, throw shade on anyone who has gone through
But
divorce,
here's the thing
experiencing
is, I'm going to throw
divorce.
this in there really quick, is
Mhm.
that their expectation is unity.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they get married and then unity happens,
Mhm.
and completion is complete.
Yeah, and because we're married now, we're unified.
But then once they get married is then they're like, now I have to have kids.
Mhm.
That right there is going to give me that unity, that fullness, that wholeness.
Mhm.
Then they have kids. And like, one isn't enough.
Yeah.
I got a little
Oh, I
girl.
guess I
I
need
want a
some
little
more.
boy.
Mhm.
I got a little boy. Right. And that continues to like, until then it's like, and maybe it's just the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the wrong girl.
Yeah,
Like,
like, I should be happier than this. So because I'm not that happy, I guess this isn't right. I guess I'm just gonna pack my guys and go.
yeah.
Yeah, and I really think I really think a lot of people can be very happy in marriage,
Yeah.
and I think everyone can, really. But and I'm not a marriage counselor by any means. And a big part of my belief in that is, I do think religion does help, but taking religion aside, looking at the practicality of it, a big part of it is what you were saying, is the unifying factor. For example, the fact that the husband and wife have two separate bank accounts. Don't do that. Again, personal opinion, but like, because one of the thing, Matt Musselman, Zach's dad,
Mm-hmm.
told me there are three things that spouses always fight about, and I can't remember the third one. But the first one's sex,
Sex.
and the second one is finances.
Finances.
Yeah, money. Third one, I don't know. Kids probably, or vacation. I don't know. Probably neither of those things. But it's the idea that, where's the money going? Like, who's going to pay for this? The way that I think it should be is, it's all together. We have one account. We have one money. Whether I make money or you make money, it's our money,
Yeah.
right? It's our finances. You have needs and expenses. They're our expenses. So if you're
Sure.
like, oh, I got, if like the
It's a
wife,
whole we mentality.
yeah,
Like
if the wife says, hey, I need to do some therapy shopping, right? Which is a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like, you can't be like, oh, that's your therapy shopping. That's our therapy shopping. That,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because even though that's for her, really it's for the marriage. The marriage is this one thing, and everything you do is to strengthen that one thing.
Yeah.
Here's
my outlook on it. So I shared this with somebody, is that I've got this idea that I could run a corporation someday. Like,
Mhm.
I would like to be able to, and so I don't know the exact steps, but I do know that within that is that I need to have an accountant, a lawyer, and a financial advisor,
Mhm.
and to have those be my three branches of government to some degree, like checks and balances.
Yeah.
They will check and balance each other, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm seeing a lot of this idea of three. And so in a marriage, you look at that and it's like you said, unity between the two of you. For me, it's like there has to be a third. I
Mhm.
mean, if you look at logically or mathematically, like it comes in threes.
Mhm.
I mean, look over there at that drum set right yonder. Is that you got your kick, your snare, and your
Boom.
cymbal.
Got you 3.
I mean, I got my floor tom, but you get what
Yeah,
I'm
talking
saying,
about
is that
that.
you got your highs, you got your lows, and you got your mids.
Mhm.
Lows being the kick, mids being the snare, highs being the cymbals, right?
Mhm.
Look at the little trophies that I have over there. You have your bass, you have the shaft, and the
The trophy shaft, yeah.
and the top,
Yeah.
right? Or like the middle. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that I see a lot of, so when in marriage or any kind of relationship, then like, where the heck is that third?
Mhm.
And so I think people look for that third, and sometimes they seek it, and they go to the most convenient thing sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, which could be sex or which could be finances or vacations or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But they seek that third thing and they don't know what it is. And so for the religious folk, it's like it's God.
Right.
For the more scientific folk, it's like it's nature, it's the world. Or
Mhm.
like the more humanitarian, it's like you have to be one with the world.
Yeah.
You come together with your spouse and you die and you give your soul back to the earth.
Mhm.
That'd be like the CJ outlook, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to straw man the guy. But what I'm saying though is that is simply you got the two. And we're speaking of unity doesn't come with just two, but it comes with three, I think.
Hmm.
Is that what do you think?
Well, as a devout religious man myself, I would agree with that. And I do think that having a common goal fixed upon God is very helpful in a marriage. As far as, I agree. It's the idea that, you know, I think what that third thing could probably be for who's not religious is a common vision with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing is like, I have you, you have me, we're about to have each other. But the third thing that unifies us is our common.
Our purpose.
Yeah. Like, what do we want?
Sure.
What do we want? And more than just like, well, we want to be happy, right?
Yeah.
Want to be safe and financially secure. You got to go a little deeper than that. Like, what do we want this marriage to be? Like, what do we want it to? What do we want? What the effect do we want it to have on
So like
on
the
the
future,
world?
the
Yeah.
potential.
Yeah.
The potential.
Yeah, the potential. And so that way, because what that does is
What
it
we could
forces you,
become.
yeah, as a marriage.
Yeah.
And that's focus. It makes you focus a lot less on yourself and like your own personal successes. And it makes it, you still get to have those. But when it's under that perspective of where we are going together, then what's going to happen is those successes are going to contribute to the strength of the marriage and just not your strength as an individual. And you're constantly pulling your spouse along, trying to make sure they keep up with whatever you do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's I think so much angst and contention when it comes to stay-at-home mom. Because I think, well, a lot of times what happens is the dad goes to work, the mom's at home, and she feels less valued because she's not contributing to the financial part of the family, right? Like, dad goes to school, dad, like I'm following that classic trajectory right now. Mary's at home with Silas while I am going to school every day. I'm going to the career path. I have exciting, I get good grades and I have job opportunities. I'm having these big, clear, check marks and milestones that she's not having as clearly. And
But she gets to see the miles and check marks that Silas is
yeah,
having.
totally. And that's something that's super great. And it's really easy sometimes to blend those lines. And there were times when Silas was first born where she was like, I just feel bad because I'm not getting to do like I wish I was where you were, right? I wish I could do those things and take care of Silas.
Mm-hmm.
But as time has gone on, we're getting a lot better at seeing like I'm not going to law school because I'm like, oh man, I really want to have a successful career as a lawyer because I want to be that cool lawyer guy, right?
Yeah.
It's I want to have a successful career as a lawyer because I know that is what's going to be best for my family. And as I grow and progress, that naturally is going to, draw me and my wife together as she grows and progresses also. And together as we like focus our kids into the mix and kind of that common goal is we want this unified family down the road. And of course, God is in the mix and we're wanting to make sure we keep him involved in our lives and our decisions. I think that's maybe the third thing that's unifying thing. So I'm a huge advocate for that.
It's about 9:09. Oh, my computer is almost dead.
Glad you checked.
Better plug it in, or else the live stream is
Yeah, I guess.
I'm glad I looked at that.